Hi, and welcome to the Love Learns podcast. My name is Dion Zara, just your average girl wishing to learn more about love and relationships. As a young girl, I always dreamt about my wedding day, and to be fair, I still do sometimes. With many couples around me, I quickly came to realize love isn't as straightforward as the movies make out. So I thought I would have conversations with couples who made it past happily ever after to learn more about love. And when I say love, I don't mean like the movies and fairy tales, but I mean LOVE, learning to be open, vulnerable, and empathetic. So if you're ready to learn, unlearn, and discover love through couples, you're in the right place. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Love Learns. This week we have Matt and Alice, who are going to give us a bit about their love story and how they met. Let's say hi to Alice and Matt. Hi guys.
Hi Dion, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
We're good.
Keeping well,
Really
yeah,
good.
keeping really well, thanks.
Good. So we're just going to start off with just how you guys met, and then we can go from there and have conversations and stuff and see where we go.
Okay.
So how did you guys meet?
Do you want to take this or shall I?
Oh, we can tag team it.
Go on and go.
Okay. So we met in church, specifically on the performing arts team. Matt was a Connect group leader on the acting team, and I was part of the Connect group.
Yeah, I think you've summarised it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In church, performing arts.
Yeah.
Cool. So were you both attracted to each other when you first met?
I think Alice was super attracted to me. I stood out from the rest.
I remember the very first day I met him, which was, I remember it clearly, the 30th of October, 2015.
There you go, you were attracted to me.
No, the only reason I remember it was because that was the audition day for the acting team on the performing arts team.
Okay.
That's why I remember the date. And I remember him, but didn't think anything of him at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Not even this guy's cool.
Not even this guy at all.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, but you thought the world of me. Then,
Yeah, no. What was the question? Was I attracted to her at the start?
At the start, yeah.
Yeah, like, you're obviously beautiful and amazing. So yeah, I think that I did notice. And then as we hung out even more, that's when obviously it was like, oh wow, let's start pursuing this more. Yeah.
So when did it click for you, Alice? When were you like, okay, maybe this could be something?
So for me, the first time or moment that I was like, wow, this guy is really,
Hot.
got a heart for God, and I want to know him. I just want to know him. So Matt has an incredible gift in spoken word, and he just randomly out of the blue posted a spoken word that he made of a story in the Bible, which is David and Goliath.
No, it wasn't a spoken word.
Was it a spoken word?
No. No, you're right. I voice noted, but I voice noted what I had learned about David and Goliath.
Okay.
It wasn't quite a spoken word.
It was still poetic and had a rhythm. And that was in March 2016. I remember this clearly. I listened to it on the way home from teaching ballet. And yeah, that made me and I've never felt that way with any kind of male before, of wow, I want to know this person more. I really want to know him. And yeah, that was the first kind of step of, wow, I want to know him. So I then messaged him privately and said, thank you so much for the voice note you sent. I learned so much, and I journaled away, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for me, it was, so within church, because of performing arts team and the way performing arts team operated then was there were loads of events. So there'll be loads of team socials, but then there was other socials within church as well that was happening, like events, baptisms and things like that. And I just kept noticing when I was going that Alice was also there as well. just really unexpected, because at this point we weren't text messaging or anything like that. But it was just like, oh wow, Alice is here. This is amazing. And I think for me, that's when it started to click of like, wow, she's there. And for me, you know, relationship with God really matters. And so for me, that just really stood out of, oh wow, she's coming to all these events, all these church events, and wow, there's a real heart for God there. And so for me, that's when it started to click, even more so. And then, yeah, like God really spoke loud and clearly at one point, which I'm sure we can get onto later on maybe. But I think that was the initial, this is starting to kind of go, okay, all right, yeah.
Very cool. So I can see that Alice is the one who remembers the dates in the relationship.
She does.
Yeah.
Oh, so when did you guys know, like, okay, I'm gonna pursue this? You said like when you were attracted to each other, but like when did you know, actually, let's go more into this? Let me get to know this person a little bit more.
So for me, I remember it clearly. I was going to a team night, and it was like a Thursday, I think it was. And in the evening, like I had no idea if Alice was going or not, because at this point we weren't like text messaging much at all, if at all at this point. I remember this so clearly because I was actually walking from Waterloo Station to the venue, and just in my heart, like I just heard this voice go, Alice is going to be there tonight. Ask her if she wants to like hang out. And at this point, I'm like, well, because it wasn't like a random thought. For me, that was God saying, right, she's going to be there. But as I said, I had no clue if Alice would be there or not. And so obviously I've walked into the venue and then I've seen Alice is there and I was like, wow, mind blown, because I wasn't necessarily thinking about her as I was walking. It just like pin drop, boom, that came into my heart. It was like, wow, okay, all right, Lord, this is insane, but cool. So yeah, at the event, obviously I'm like, well, this was on my heart and I've got to be bold and kind of ask that question, whether or not she'd like to hang out. And it was nearing the end of the evening, so you don't know if either one of you are going to be leaving. But yeah, I just went up to Alice at the end when there were less people around, and just said, "Hey, I think it'd be cool to sort of hang out a bit." And then she was like very enthusiastic and actually was like, "Yeah." So that took me by surprise because I was thinking, maybe she might say no or I'm busy.
I mean, that day I don't remember at all. I don't remember that day at all.
Yeah, I remember that really clearly. And you're like, yeah. But the funny thing is, I think, so if I'm getting my memory correct here, I'd asked her and she said yes. And we'd actually arranged a day to meet. And then about 2 hours before we were going to meet, I just messaged her to say, I've been looking forward to hanging out still if you stood up for it. And then Alice actually cancelled on me. And said I can't meet anymore because she wasn't feeling too well, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of expecting, like, let's rearrange, but I don't think that necessarily happened quite quickly. It took another month or so before we actually managed to then be able to meet again. So yeah, that's when it first kind of clicked for me, was that in the heart drop of a moment, ask her, and then Alice saying yes, and then things just kind of led from there, really.
Cool. So was that you guys' first date, technically? Like...
No. Oh, far from it. Far from it. So that was just to get to know each other, which it took a while to be able to then finally meet. And actually, the first time when we were going to meet, we arranged it that the simplest way to do it was let's do it before church because we're both around. But in true Alice fashion back in those days, Alice was late. And so we were doing it just before a team thing. And so we'd got about 20 minutes with each other. And then obviously some people started arriving early. So it was like, oh, great, here goes the opportunity to actually really get to know each other. But then I remember thinking, well, actually, if this ever did go anywhere further in the future, being able to hang out in groups is also a really important thing. Yeah. So I saw it as an opportunity to go, okay, well, that's it. I'd want a relationship to be very inclusive of people. So I just, again, in that moment was like, let's turn this into another opportunity to go, hey, we never actually got proper time for me and you to catch up. And there was some really interesting stuff you were saying. Let's try and make this happen again. So it kind of progressed from there. We probably done that about 3 times. And then I asked her on a date. And then it took her 3 months before she actually said yes to going on a date. So she made me wait.
Alice, what was your reservation before getting into like actually dating?
I think part of it was, it sounds silly, but part of it was fear because I knew he was my husband.
Oh, wow.
Whilst we were getting to know each other before the dating, again, it was just that kind of, you just know in your heart, and I just knew this is the guy you're gonna spend the rest of your life with. And I think I was just slightly scared of actually stepping into that because like it's a big and wonderful thing. And I think a pattern with me as an individual is when good things are about to happen, I sometimes like tend to back away because I think, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not, worthy enough to have that good thing or experience that good thing. So I kind of like back away. So I think it was partly, fear-ish. And obviously it's been the best decision ever. So it's very silly for it to be fear. And also I've just, taken my time because I was enjoying my single life, building my career, going to church, hanging out with friends and family. Like I was just taking my time.
Yeah, at the expense of making me wait for a while.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
That's very cool though, because I think sometimes we forget that we can enjoy our single life, and just kind of in expectation of the next chapter coming, we just kind of like try and rush things. So I think that's very cool that you got to like just take your time and enjoy.
Yeah.
But about the fear as well, what how did you overcome that? Obviously now you guys are married, so that kind of, you had to overcome it. How did that how did you talk yourself out of that fear?
I think just so we're Christians, and for me, just journaling and talking to God about it, and he doesn't withhold good things from us, but we have a choice to step into them. And I think he was just being like super gentle in that, this is what I have for you, Alice, but it's your choice. And one very specific moment that happened, which was like what did you call it? It was like a drop.
Yeah,
you called it something. A drop in the heart. A drop in the heart.
Yeah.
I was away on holiday with my parents, and I kind of knew in my heart this might be like the last holiday I would have with my parents, being single, because I kind of, me and Matt were talking and getting to know each other. And there was one time when I was just like listening to worship music, and there was that drop in the heart, and God said to me, he said, Alice, when you go back to London, you're going to step into a blessing, and that blessing is Matt. And obviously at the time I was like, oh, that's so exciting, but scary, but wonderful. But I still had a choice, because love is a choice, and God will never force things onto you. And obviously everyone's like journey of choosing their partner is completely different. But my journey was that God did say that to me, but then I had a choice. And when I got back to London, then I did say yes to our first dates.
Also, I was very patient as well.
Oh, he was super patient. And you what? I mean, you're such a patient person in general. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
And how was the first date? Like, what were the vibes? on the first date?
First date was really amazing. So we'd organised, or I'd organised, because it was my thing to organise. So we actually just went in the afternoon. We went to mini golf, which was just nice, like an outdoor mini golf in Battersea. And then we just kind of took it from there, really. We were kind of quite spontaneous. So we had like a little, let's just chill out after picnic type thing. Then we just went for a walk, and we hadn't actually planned to have dinner together. It was more just like let's go for lunch, let's play mini golf. And then we were walking down the Thames, and we actually saw like a river boat, a ferry, which could take you from Battersea into Westminster. So it was like, oh, let's just jump on that. So then we jumped on that, played a few games.
To South Bank.
Yeah, that as well. South
Yeah.
Bank, Westminster, same area. And then we went to Oaxaca's afterwards. So yeah, it was just kind of just let it flow, really. It was really nice.
We obviously just didn't want to leave each other's presence, so.
Yeah, I mean, it made me wait 3 months to actually say yes. So you know, I was gonna make the most of every second, you know. Which is funny because we'll say this. So then we had our second date. Then after our second date, Alice actually turned around to me and said, "Oh, I think we're on different wavelengths here." So was trying to like cut it there. Do you remember? And then, but what's really cool about our story and the way God worked it is months before, when Alice was on holiday in Greece, I was actually away in India, and I was journaling. And again, you couldn't make this stuff up. You know, you just know when it's God, and you know it's when it's you. And I was actually journaling when I was out in India, and God was doing some amazing things. And I just journaled. And one of the things I remember in this journal was when I was out in India, before me and Alice had even gone on a first date, was I'd written down, if Alice ever says you're both on different wavelengths, tell her it's not true. That's not from me. It's not from God. Show her this. And so after our second date, and we're at church walking around, and then as we're walking after church, after our second date had happened, Alice just threw out the comment of like, I generally think we're on different wavelengths here. And I'd happened to have my journal in my bag because, you know, I carried it around. And then I just remember as we're walking, I was like, what's going on here? And then I remember just a prompting in my heart going, remember your journal, remember that moment, show her it. And it was just like, wow. So I did. So then obviously Alice was like, oh, wow. But what I did in that moment was like, you know what, there's no pressure here. You organise the third date. If you want another date, then I'll hand it over to you. And you get back to me whenever you like. You don't have to say yes. You can decide to not go any further. Or you can organise this date and I'm just going to wait on you. And Alice organised the third date and we became official, and that was that. So it was it was an amazing journey. Just God was really at work in it. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't pre-plan that sort of stuff. So it was pretty awesome, to be honest. Yeah.
And Alice, was it the fear that was creeping in again, that made you say we're not on the same frequency?
Yeah, so it was partly the fear that, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And then I guess because of that fear, I was looking to self rather than to God. And I was looking at like self-worth and stuff and thinking, oh my gosh, he's higher than me and all of that, which is completely not in our identity as children of God. So it was a moment of fear and looking to self. And then God obviously showed me and Matt that no, that's not from me. That's you need to get out of that mindset.
That's amazing. And so after that moment, how was the relationship for you guys? How did you build from there on before you got engaged?
Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
I just think, like having done off. So once Alice had actually organised the third date and we'd done that. I don't know. It was just like everything had fallen into place. So it was kind of like I knew, for example, on the third, there were certain things I was journaling, like, you know, when to kiss Alice, like down to those details of, you know, share a kiss on the third date type thing rather than try it on the first date. And then when you become official, then ask Alice to meet my family. So it was kind of like, right, let's go through that process of actually, you know, I really can see what God's doing here and really just enjoying the time with Alice. Let's introduce to the family, because it's almost like that's the next level, and you kind of want to get family involved and introduce them, because, you know, you want there to be a good sort of connection there with the family as well. So I think from then it's almost like you could breathe a little bit, because it had been a little bit of a journey up until that point to get on the first date, get on the third date. I think from there, I think we just both started really enjoying it, and just, yeah, having a great time together. And then just kind of going, okay, let's try and make dates happen like once a week if we can, and really try and stick to that and honor that, just so we could. But also, I think what was really important for us, actually, and kind of, yeah, what was really important for us is not many people knew as well. We were, because like on the nature of where we were placed within church meant that we had loads of people around us, and being on the same team, people could generally get really excited for you, but also that could be shared across the team. And we kind of recognized that actually this is just, you know, a process for us, and until we're kind of growing in that, don't share it with everyone. So even when I'd asked Alice on a date, I'd only let maybe 3 or 4 people know, actually, I really like Alice. I didn't tell the world. It was kind of like, I'm only going to tell a few people, those trusted people. But even when it became official, it still took us a while before we kind of opened up to team to say, right, you know, this is what's, even on Connect Group, you might have remembered when we was in Connect Group in Cannon Town, where I think I shared in sort of November, December time, and that was a couple of months after we became official. So it was kind of like gradually, okay, let's open this up to more and more people, because we wanted to kind of grow it without the, I don't know, not the pressure of people, but, you know, it's something precious, and you want to kind of almost like keep it contained for a while before the excitement gets out and some people get carried away. And, you know, we just really wanted to enjoy it, to have as much time together as possible to really grow it into something before, you know, sharing it out. Not too long, but not too early as well. So
Yeah.
if that answers the question, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And you guys spoke about Alice meeting your family, Matt. How was that process for you guys, like meeting families and stuff? Because I know some people it can get a bit tricky, but how was it for you guys?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, well, Matt's family is amazing, so it was really nice. I remember the very, very first time I went over and met Matt's mum and Matt's sister. Matt's brother was at uni at the time, so I didn't meet him. And we had Chinese takeaway, and it was very chilled. Yeah, of course, a little bit nervous because it's just new and new company, but they're all amazing people, and, you know, relationship is still being built, as I guess it always is. But Matt's mum is the most incredible woman. She's insanely incredible, and I love, like, every single time we go over and spend time with her, I always leave like, oh, I want to spend more time, just more time. And yeah, I think what I guess I find hard personally is I've never been able to meet my father-in-law, Matt's dad. So, like, there's that kind of, you know, questions of, you know, what relationship would we have had? And yeah, it's a mystery. But I'm grateful to know Matt's mum and his sister and his brother.
Yeah. No, Dad would have loved you. He would have absolutely loved you. We got on really well. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, like, meeting Alice's family, so I actually met her sisters first. Because your sisters, remember, we had a meal, and they had invited Jimmy and Ben, so their respective partners, because it's the first time that Alice's sisters have met one of her other sister's boyfriends at the same time. So we all cooked together. So actually having met your sisters first with their partners before your parents, I think that kind of eased it for me, I guess, because it's like, you know, if you have everyone around, it can kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like so many people. What really helped was we obviously were walking together by ourselves to the house, and a little prayer as well kind of massively helped. But yeah, having met your parents, yeah, it was just nice. They're very chilled out. Your dad's quiet, he's a processor, so he processes. But actually, I found in that moment he was quite chatty as well, which is really cool. So no, it was amazing. Just yeah, I think obviously you're always going to have the little nerves of I want them to like me, because they're going to have a massive say in whether or not this goes any further. So yeah, was a bit nervous, but I think having met them and just being genuine, being yourself, it was kind of like, actually, this is natural. So yeah, no, your parents are amazing. They're really
they
good,
love
so.
him. Like every time we have dinner, he will have the seat that is closest to my mum and dad. I will be sitting like at the end of the table. So they obviously love him more than me. And little funny thing, my parents thought, well, the doctors and my parents thought that I was going to be a boy. And if I was a boy, they were going to call me Matthew. But I'm obviously not a boy. So they obviously got their Matthew.
There you go. It's meant to be.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think with in-laws, it's very nice when that happens and you feel that presence. And just to clarify, it's because Matt's dad passed away before you guys got married, isn't it? That's why you didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you guys have been dating, you guys, how long were you dating before you actually got engaged?
So I think it was 11 months. 10 months. 10, 11. 10/11. Yeah, so 10 months before I'd asked Alice to marry me. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question, because I guess, like, when you're just going through the process, it naturally happened. Well, I guess for us, I can only speak from my experience. I'm not sure if I had too many expectations. Like, it was an adventure. It was going to be a journey. It was very exciting. It was obviously going to be new as well. I just thought it'd be a good marriage. You know, knew that there'll be things that I'm going to learn along the way. So yeah, I think for me, I didn't really necessarily have expectations as such. It was more like, let's go on this journey. And obviously you can do like marriage courses and stuff like that in our church anyway. So I guess that kind of helped to kind of go, right, this is what you're going to kind of navigate on your journey in marriage together. But I think when we got engaged, I just was looking forward to spending the rest of my life with Alice. So I never necessarily had any expectations. Yeah.
So for me, it's not necessarily an expectation of marriage. It's more an expectation like in our relationship. And I think even to this day, my expectation is that he can read my mind. And it's partly because one example in our dating process, this was just before our second date. I like, God knows that I love letters. I love a good, long, heartfelt letter. And so I said that to God. I said, oh, it'd be amazing if Matt could write me like a letter. That would be amazing. And I never said anything to Matt. But then Matt obviously heard from God, and God told him to write 3 letters to give to me on our second date. And so I guess from that first experience, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, he can read my mind. And if it's not my mind, God will tell him everything. So for example, in our bathroom, I guess I'm like a little bit OCD when it comes to things in the right place. And in the bathroom, I like to have all the shower, like conditioner, shampoo, shower gel to be in the same place. If there's a bit there and then a bit there, I get agitated. So I always, when I have a shower, will put it in the right place. So I automatically think, well, when Matt goes and has a shower, he's picked it up from the right place. So surely he will then put it back in the right place. Why would you put it elsewhere? So things like that. I think my expectation is that he can read my mind just from where things are physically, or if there's something I want, I guess assume God will tell him that I want it. And that's not always the case. It has been, and sometimes it is the case. Sometimes it really is, and it's amazing. But it's not all the time. Sometimes God is like, you know what, Alice, you need to use your mouth really, and actually just verbalize.
Tell him.
Tell him.
He's a man.
He's a man.
So just to clarify, I only found out last week that it agitates Alice if I put the sort of Dove shower cream on the other end and then put it back in the right place. So yeah, I'd only just discovered this last week.
And you guys have been married 2 years now.
Well, yeah, three and a half almost, yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So fast. That's a really good point, actually. So that is communication, really, isn't it? Like just communicating and stuff. How did you guys overcome any like communication issues in the beginning? Because we all communicate in different ways and different. So how did you guys overcome that for you?
I think for us, when we have day evenings, not on every day evening, but sometimes we'll set time aside to kind of say what is going right, what is going wrong. So like that was last week, for example, when I said about the shower gel thing. And I think setting time aside to make sure that, I guess, you're communicating, one, in each other's love languages, but just communicating well in general.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that the marriage course that we had done, sort of leading into marriage, sort of built on communication, which is really good. And we actually also read another book by Celia and Nikki Lee from HTB as well. So we had read that book also, which is a phenomenal book. And I just think from there, I think it's more subconsciously now rather than consciously. We kind of, I think, in the journey have become better at being, well, I think we was always good at communicating, but I think we have been made more aware of, talk about things, communicate, set time aside. Have those times where you go in to share things. And I just think it also takes practice as well to kind of go, because I guess initially you kind of go, oh, do I share this? What are they going to think about this? I'm not sure. But actually in the back of your mind going, no, you're a team and you're both for each other. You're both on the same side. So communicating things is really, really important, and not keeping things to yourself to keep like a healthy marriage. So I think we're generally pretty good at communicating together. I think it's practice. I think I can't even remember if there was like something that had frustrated me maybe where I go, oh, let me not share that. But then actually once you share it, you go, oh, that went really well. Now I can just shit. I'm sure there was probably a time when that happened in our process, but actually just knowing actually you're for each other. So when you communicate, it's because you're intentionally trying to make the marriage even healthier. I think subconsciously that just generally really helps to kind of go, actually, we're just going to communicate this. I think we're pretty good at it.
Great. And so, like, how have you guys grown, do you think, since you've been married as individuals?
Can we take that? Okay. I think for me, one of the things that I've recognized about myself, which, I guess you don't necessarily know until you're like married to someone. But for me, I guess a couple of things. One, definitely finances, where one of like the things that we've agreed on in our marriage anyway is I will sort of look after the finances and how we kind of allocate things and do things. And one of the things I learned is maybe sometimes I can be like a saver. I like to save things, so I find it difficult sometimes to spend like a certain amount on items where I'm like, oh no. And so, I never recognized that in myself. Like one of the things I noticed when I was growing up in my household is my dad would usually go, right, close the door, turn off the light if you're not using it to save money, turn off the fan at night time when you go to sleep to save money. And I always, when I was growing up, was like, oh man, like, come on, it's not that much. But I recognized that actually I picked that up, and actually I'm the same. I'm like, yeah, let's turn off the light when we're not using it, save the money. So I think that's what I've learned about myself is there are strengths to that, but also there's areas of growth in that as well. Is there's got you to be a good steward of finances, actually you can use it well. It doesn't necessarily mean saving it and holding on tightly to it. It's about knowing when to release it and go, actually, no, this is for a bigger picture. So I think for me, that's one of my areas that I've learned about myself is to try not to be too clingy with finances, to be more sort of handheld out with it. And I think I've got better over the time, but I never knew that was an area before marriage that actually I had within myself. So I think for me, that's probably been a big one for me.
That's very cool.
For me, since we've been married, I don't actually know, but I'm sure there are many things that you probably could tell. But I think in general, I know that if I miss God time, if I miss exercising, and if I'm hungry, I'm just moody and I'm just not pleasant to be around. So there's three needs I need to be fed. I need to be fed, I need to have my God time, and I need to release some happy endorphins. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And Matt, how do you manage Alice when she's not had one of those three things, like on a weekday or weekend?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a really
This is
good
a very good question. Honestly, there's times where I'm probably like, when I'm not tired, and when I would say for me, whether in tune with God is the right word or not, I don't know. But when I'm less tired, then it's like, this is cool. It's fine. I'll probably recognize, it's just hunger, or it's just you've missed God time. Other times I might be impatient because I might be tired myself, and I might not, because I'm a guy, sometimes I don't even recognize it, which it probably is, for me, is an area that I need to continue to grow into, to get to know you even more, is to go, is it hunger, is it exercise, and that's good for me to know. It's like, when Alice is potentially in a mood, as you put it, is it one of these three things? So actually, I remember, sort of side point, but I remember someone saying, in marriage, you're constantly learning about each other. So study each other. And so I guess that's just, I'm reflecting in this moment going, there you go. Maybe if Alice isn't doing so well in terms of mood, it could be hunger, God time, or exercise. So I think sometimes I can be really good and patient and very loving. And other times I could probably be very impatient and go, oh no, Alice is in the mood, this is not good. So it's probably, I'd like to say I probably lean more towards the patient, loving husband, but definitely there's times where I'm probably impatient because I'm human and haven't quite recognised that within you, I guess. Cool. If that's a fair reflection.
Yeah. And Alice, for you, how do you also like manage, as Matt was saying about finances and stuff, how do you manage like something like maybe you want to spend in a certain area and he's like, okay, maybe we should save on this? How do you try to negotiate and talk about that?
I think it's been a process of just like letting him kind of grow in that journey, because like in the first year of our marriage, like we wouldn't spend anything, like even like date evenings would be like dirt cheap, which is fine because I'm not a spender, but I'm more of a spender than Matt. But when I do spend, it will be like an investment, or it will be like something quality. I don't really like spending. I don't like spending a lot of money, but I do want to invest at the same time. So I think it's been just a journey of kind of going, okay, you know what? We're a team, but he's in charge of the finances, and I'm okay with not spending this money. I'm okay with us going to this restaurant rather than this restaurant to save money. So I think I've just been kind of like quiet and just let him grow. And I've seen over the years, like over the 3 years, like how well we have been spending money and we have been investing in more things. And the way how he approaches it, I can totally see a difference. And I think that is just from being quiet and letting him be on that journey. I haven't really said anything about it. I think I've just, have I?
Well, I'm just trying to think like whether or not we actually had a conversation in like the first year of marriage, whether or not that was an area that was brought up. But I'm trying to think because I can't remember. But
I think it was. No,
we
I
may
think we have spoken about it, because we have spoken about how neither of us are spenders, but I am more of a spender, and I kind of, I guess I see the bigger picture when spending money. So even though money's going out of the account, it's for a bigger thing.
Yeah, I think you would have graciously, like, in the first year of marriage, probably the first few months, because it was so new, because, you know, it was kind of like finances are coming together. So for us, it was like, okay, joint account, but I'm going to sort out like budgets and stuff and how we're going to work that. And we're going to agree on like how we're going to spend finances and when we need to ask each other, actually, is this okay if I get this or do this? And so that's been a process. That's definitely been a learning curve. And I think within part of that conversation over in the first year of marriage, definitely, I'm sure you brought it to my attention, but it's like, you know, you need to just release it a little bit more and not be so like hands clenched on it, just release it. And I think, but you've also been very gracious to let me grow in that area as well, which actually it works really well. And I think just the constant communication that we do have has kind of really helped. So
I think, I think I definitely have let you grow in that area, but also like I used to be a coffee drinker and I used to buy my coffee out every single day. And obviously that adds up. And then when I saw how much it adds up, because I never really used to think about it before being married, it was just what I normally did, and just I was okay with that. And then because it became our finances, Matt didn't say anything, and he wasn't like, oh, I don't want you to buy coffee out anymore, can you make it at home? He never said anything like that. But something in me went, you know what, I can change this. I can make this at home, or even I can give up coffee, which I did at the end, but for other reasons anyway. And I think making like, I guess, like little sacrifices kind of here and there helped with that.
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. I think sometimes we don't talk about that side of like marriage and like the responsibilities and stuff that you tend to not think about until you're actually together. You're like, oh, actually, we need to make a plan for this. So that's really cool that you guys have given each other the grace to grow in certain areas and learn from each other and study each other and know what to say, what not to say in certain times. That's so cool. I'm gonna start wrapping up so that we can like just mindful of time and stuff. But from being married, what have you learned about being open, vulnerable, and empathetic?
What would you say?
Without it, you have a very unhealthy relationship. You cannot not be vulnerable and open. It just doesn't work. It means that the communication is distorted. It means it's not real, and things don't last when they're not real and authentic. So yeah, that's, I guess, all I can say is that without it, your relationship will crumble.
I think for us, yeah, like as you said, it's really, really important. And I think what's really helped actually during the first lockdown we had because of COVID, we'd actually done a marriage course. So we, before getting married, we did a marriage course. Being married, we did oh, you're now married, let's do that. I think that was really healthy. That was really good because it again brought to the forefront like just different things within marriage. And one of them definitely was communication and being vulnerable and being empathetic towards one another. And again, just that mindset of no, we're a team, like we're working together, we're supporting each other, and we can't read each other's minds. And so sharing that only enriches your marriage. It kind of like a garden, it kind of helps you prune your garden to kind of tend it, to water it, to grow it. So yeah, I think for us it is super important to be able to do that. And I always remember like a preacher we heard preach, a guy called Stephen Furtick, where he's talking about offense as well. And he had a really great visual, which was like, imagine you've got a garden patch and you take offense and you don't communicate, and he actually stuck like a piece of wood in the flower bed. And it's like every offense that you take and you don't communicate, you kind of, in the end, you're actually building a fence between you and your marriage, and then you don't know why. For me, that this visual has always stuck. So I think being able to communicate in that way also minimizes the opportunity to take offense within our marriage, which offense will always cause bitterness, it will always cause disruption in your marriage. So being open and honest just helps you, yeah, to keep it real, as you said, like keep it real, but also to grow in the love that we have for one another as well, and the respect.
And I think being vulnerable can be like as simple as saying I love you every single day, just without fail, just saying that every single day. Because when you stop saying things, you know, just it's not healthy. And yeah, if you're not watering something, it will die.
That's good.
So, and our words obviously have power, and if you keep quiet, then things will die. So I think, yeah, simple as just saying, you know, I love you every day, which you do. Yeah.
So cool. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity as well. Is there anything, projects or anything that you guys are doing that you wanted to share with the audience so that they can reach out to you and stuff like that? Where could they find you if they wanted to find you?
Well, I'm in the process of building my women's fitness business. So if anyone is wanting a good workout or just a bit of inspiration, or posts about faith and identity, find me on Alice Burnett __. I think that's it. I think that's my Instagram account.
On Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think for me, spoken word is something that I'm working on at the moment. I'm in the process of, I've actually just filmed one actually, but it's about like my story growing up. So that's in the process of being edited at the moment by a friend, which is great. So I haven't seen it at all. Haven't seen any of the footage actually. So I have no idea what it looks like. But that will hopefully be coming out soon. So yeah, I've actually got an Instagram account just for spoken word. So I think it's like spoken word _ Matt. Spoken word Matt, is it? I think so. I think it's something like spoken word _ Matt.
Yeah.
On Instagram, so you can find me there as well. So yeah, just working on some of that and faith and like God, yeah, spoken word faith basically. So that's what I'm currently getting into at the moment. So yeah,
very cool. I'll look it up and put them in the show notes so that people can come reach out to you through there. But thank you so much for coming on, guys, and it was a pleasure having you on and hearing your story and how you guys have navigated through
so many things. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. It's been really cool just to jump on, and yeah, what you're doing is amazing. So thanks for the opportunity as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.